back. You tuned in to WDRB Media, the voice of the community. We have Mr. James Adams, coach of the St. Elizabeth University men's basketball team in studio today. Coach, I appreciate you taking a little time out.
Of course.
We met yesterday. You had a couple of my guys up to take a visit. How'd you feel about meeting my lab, you guys?
Yeah, they were really insightful. They asked really good questions. I think what's really important in recruiting is that you ask the questions and don't be afraid to, speak your mind and tell what you're looking for, which was good to see. So I really appreciated getting to know those two guys.
Yep, it was my first time up here in New Jersey. It was one of my guys' first times up here. I think Kev's family is from up this way, so it's actually a beautiful area. Your campus is small, but it's still beautiful in itself. I was excited to see everything that St. Elizabeth has to offer. As you start to prepare for your upcoming season, what's your outlook looking like for your team, for your squad?
Yeah, so we're super excited this year. So I'm going into year 5. This is my first recruiting class. They're going to be all now seniors. So we have 9 seniors coming up this year. And then we also brought in behind them a really talented 2025 class. So really we're just figuring out as coaches how to mesh seniors and freshmen. I think the talent is there, but really what our challenge is going to be is to merge the two: seniors that know a lot with freshmen that don't really know too much.
Yep.
But getting them all on the same page in some way, and I think we'll have a really great year.
All right. As we look into to recruiting now, I know what I look for in high school players as I'm trying to recruit guys to LabU. What are there specifics that you look for in a high school guy that's moving on to the college level?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing that stands out obviously is a kid's body, their frame, how they move. Do they move at the pace and the speed of college? Because that's one thing that we see freshmen get overwhelmed with when they step into a practice is the speed of the game, the physicality. Besides that, if they have those prerequisites, then we're looking for, do you have 1 or 2 college transferable skills? I think it's great if you average 25 points a game in your high school, but if you don't have a move or 2 that can transfer into college, and those kids sometimes struggle a little bit. So besides scoring, we look for things that are a little bit more transferable: rebounding, defense, the intangibles, talking, and leading your team. Passing is something that really translates well. So it's really, cliche, but it's those little things that allow freshmen to play early, and then you kind of develop the other things, the scoring and all those other, things like that.
If do you prepare players coming from high school for college with their expectation that a lot of guys in high school, if they're moving on to college, they were very, very good, whether it's D3, whether it's JUCO, D2, D1, whatever level you're moving on to from high school, you have to be very solid. But I think one thing that gets lost is high school guys expect to come in and be that same guy early as a freshman, sophomore, as you move on to college. How do you set that expectation? Because take away Duke and North Carolina and Michigan, where freshmen are the best freshmen in the country, so they may come in and play immediately and contribute, but that's not the standard at all for most freshmen, sophomores as they move up to any level of college. How do you set that expectation?
So I think it starts obviously in the recruiting process when we bring a kid in on a visit. We haven't promised anything since we've been here in 4 years as far as playing time, roles, things like that. We tell the kids that there's opportunity. We look at everyone equally, but if I were to be honest, I wouldn't be doing my job as a coach if a high school kid could come in and beat my 3rd year junior or my 4th year senior. So we do have some special exceptions, freshmen that are really talented or just really on the ball. But we usually tell the kids that it's a development process. It's a 2-year, 3-year, 4-year development process to get to where they need to be. And as a kid coming in from high school, it is a little bit jarring to hear that. But I think what we do is point to the success stories that we do have of guys that have come in and maybe not played as much their freshman year, but really developed, really worked on their game, and then now they're really successful on the court.
Yeah. Well, you know, I definitely want to cover a little bit more with you. Maybe would you mind staying for another segment as we get back into this? To the audience out there, stay tuned. We'll be right back with Coach Adams from St. Elizabeth University. Stay tuned after the break. We'll get back for segment 2. Yeah, that time flies right there. You know. So in this one, touch a little bit more on you know, what you're looking for in players, and then I kind of want to take it to people often think of D3 as it's not good basketball, right? It's good basketball, and you know, there's D3s that are beating D2s. You know, there's D2s that are beating D1s. The level is the level, but you can contribute and you can still move on and play post college from any level. You know, so I kind of want to go down that road and just kind of maybe open people's eyes up to the perspective of what D3, what the levels of basketball is, and what players can do if you put up the numbers are the numbers. You know, so I want to go down that road. All right, welcome back, WDRB Media. You tuned in to Lab Certified. I'm your host, Andre Speech. In studio today with Coach James Adams, head coach of St. Elizabeth University up here in New Jersey. Coach, in segment 1, we were kind of talking about the recruiting phase, talking about what you look for in players. We often get the idea that D3 is the lowest level of basketball and it's not good players. And I disagree with that thought 100%. There's good players at every level. Tell me a little bit about the D3 level athlete as opposed to the D2, D1. What are there differences? What are the differences? And what can players do from D3 that they can't do at it from any other level if that's a thing?
Right. Yeah. So I've coached at every division level, Division 1, 2, and 3. I think now, especially with the portal and with how recruiting is going, there's very minimal space between all 3 levels. I've seen guys at the Division 1 level that I thought couldn't play for a Division 2 team or a D3 team. They tried out and things like that. So sometimes it's right opportunity, right person seeing you, things like that. We have a lot of stories of guys where maybe it was academic issues, maybe it was they wanted to stay closer to home, things like that. Our university in particular has some different majors of study to where they might want to go here because we have a great program or a nationally ranked program in a particular field. So just because it is Division 3 and we don't give athletic scholarships, it doesn't mean that basketball is suffering. In our league in particular, we had a kid who was the player of the year in our conference, rookie of the year first, and then player of the year. He transferred for his last year to Marquette. He was on Marquette's roster. We've had stories like that of guys that ball out in Division 3 and then prove that they can play at the next level. We've seen Duncan Robinson, things like that. So just because you might start Division 3 or you are a Division 3 player doesn't mean that you're any less than a D1 or a D2 guy.
And with the transfer portal, D1 guys could easily, get to the end and say, hey, I want a different situation and transfer to a D3. So there could be multiple levels of talent at and D2 guys end up transferring to D1. So the levels almost, the line is definitely, scattered now. It's not consistent all the way through. Now, don't get me wrong. D1 rosters are very good. D2 rosters are very good, but I think D3 rosters are still very good.
Yeah, we have, in particular, 3 D2 transfers on our team right now, and I think, we bring in, when we have open gyms and things like that, we keep it open to guys. We'll have D1 guys, D2 guys coming into the gym. If you were to walk into the gym, you might not know who's who, to be honest, because the talent is, really close, and it really just sometimes comes down to fit, opportunity. Sometimes guys come from the scholarship level because they want to show what they can do rather than being a bench guy. They might want to be a starter, things like that. So everything kind of comes down to situation and the fit and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. So, I often talk to my guys about what college is going to be like on the court, off the court, social life. we try to really keep guys focused on their academics, because that's the most important part. Because as a coach, I'm sure the last thing you want to worry about is what guys are doing in the classroom. That's almost should be just an expectation of what it's going to be. Tell me what a typical day is for the life of a college guy in season. Like what do they need to do? What do they have to do? What's it look like?
Right. So usually you're going to have 2 to 3 classes a day. So that coursework for us in particular is during the morning. So you're waking up probably around 9 or so, getting breakfast, getting yourself ready. You'll have class probably until about 1 o'clock or so. You'll eat some lunch and things like that. Our guys in particular are really good about getting in extra work, whether it's weight room, shooting session, film session with the coach, maybe training room stuff if they're hurt a little bit. So that'll be in the middle of the day.
So let me cut you off real quick, Coach. So when they start the day off, you go by every player's room and wake them up, right?
Oh, well, if they're not in class, we're checking the classes. So we'll walk by. We're really good with the professors. We have good relationships. So we'll do a little glance through just to make sure they're in there, head's not down, or things like that. But if we see or if we flag that someone's not in class or hasn't woken up, we'll go right to the dorms and check on them, make sure that they're getting up and everything.
But that's not the norm, though, right? You don't go by every guy's on the team room and make sure they got up for the day. They kind of have to have some responsibility on their own.
Yep. So we'll do it the first, I'd say, 2 weeks of school,
just to get them used to the schedule. Yep.
But really, we have a culture now at this point to where the seniors will know that there's a punishment coming for the team if somebody's late. So they'll be on guys' butts and knocking on doors and stuff like that to make sure they get up.
I like that because I think my guys think it's going to be the AAU environment where the coach comes in, hey, everybody, we got to be down in the lobby at 8:15. It's you got to set that iPhone alarm and get up and make sure you're where you're supposed to be, because for every college that I know, it's a penalty for being late, it's a penalty for missing classes, it's a penalty for not being where you're supposed to be. It may be a rude awakening, but that's the life of college. Mom, coach, isn't there to get you up.
Yeah, that's the biggest adjustment I think for freshmen, is that no one's really making you do anything.
Correct.
It's got to be your own motivation, your own willpower. So if we have guys that struggle, we'll bring them in and say, hey, like, is this what you really want to do? Because the coaches can't hold your hand. We've got other responsibilities, other things we have to do. We just expect the guys to be there on time and be where they're supposed to be. So
when you're out recruiting, at a tournament or games, do you, and I'm talking about at high school games or AAU or whatever, you're looking at guys that aren't in college just yet, how do you evaluate players that you're looking at? Are you comparing them to the other players on the court? Are you comparing them just on what you are looking for and need that you expect for a player? How are you evaluating guys just in an environment where there's multiple players?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So when I'm looking on a court, there's 10 guys. I'm looking to see who kind of stands out with their skill set. And that doesn't necessarily mean offensively. It could be defensively, locking up, maybe the best guy on the other team, rebounding, 2-hand rebounds, running the floor hard. Who just stands out, jumps out to me. That's the initial, and I'll start kind of keying in on what else is this guy doing. But I think the key factor for me, and I tell my assistants the same thing, what we're looking for is, can we, almost pick that player up, drop him in our practice, and that guy be able to hold his own.
Could he still function?
Right. Can he still do the same dribble moves? Can he still slide defensively? Can he still make the same reads off the ball screen? Because it is an adjustment level. And there's players that you kind of evaluate and say, hey, they might be really good in high school, but now everyone's bigger, faster, stronger. Can they still do the same thing? So a lot of that comes down to the physicality of that player, how hard they're working, what they do when they're met up against a challenge or maybe a better player, how do they play? So we're looking really for guys that, not that you necessarily have to be the star, day one as a freshman, but can you at least function in a college practice, which is a lot more intense, a lot more physical, and everything like that.
I kind of wanted to address, we talked about it a little bit yesterday at the visit. what's the importance of film and film breakdown, whether it be players watching their film, coaches breaking down film? How valuable is the film aspect at the college level?
Yeah, so for us, it's really vital because our whole program is really based on player development. We take a lot more high school guys and transfers, so we use the film as a teaching tool for the guys to be able to, evaluate themselves, learn what they're doing wrong, but then also watch their teammates and what they're doing.
Yep.
Because I think, practice goes so fast, it's only 2 hours. You might retain or remember a couple things of what you're really doing, but film allows you to kind of sit back, relax after like the adrenaline is, worn down and things like that, to really study and see what you're doing. You can rewind it, you can watch it again 3-4 times, and really evaluate, the good things you're doing, but then also the mistakes. So we utilize film, through everything. We film our practices, our games are filmed and everything, obviously. And we clip up as coaches, maybe 3 or 4 clips sometimes of a guy and try to help them, with specific things on the court just to try to get them better.
Yeah, I think, even at the high school level, I may be, way more advanced than coaches or not. We really do a lot with the film. And I don't think my high school guys either appreciate or understand the value of it. They're kind of watching it, some are focused, some aren't completely focused, but the value is there when you can actually see yourself, see the defense, see the offense, how it's running. You can make a lot of improvements just off paying attention and watching film.
For sure. Yeah, we kind of say as coaches, it's almost like your second practice a little bit.
Correct.
Obviously, you only have so many, hours in the day to practice, and you have physical limitations. You're gonna get tired and things like that. But you can be getting better, watching film, so that way you're not making the same mistake. Or maybe you see something, that the defense is doing. You see a guy's tendency or things like that, to keep getting better, even though you're not, physically in the gym.
Yes, sir.
So we try to, have guys. We have guys that'll, watch on their phone, things like that. In the lunchroom or all that type of stuff. If you have the appetite for getting better, film is really your avenue for doing it outside of practice.
Definitely. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking some time. We got to wrap it up and get out of here. I hope I believe you said you guys make it down to like Virginia. I'm gonna really do my best to get our guys up and check out a game just to see what it's like. Get an idea of it firsthand.
Sure.
So I appreciate you once again coming in. We'll definitely stay in touch.
Definitely.
To the audience out there, Coach James Adams, head coach, St. Elizabeth University. We'll get back to segment 3. We'll wrap it up here in New Jersey, the coaches edition of Lab Certified. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're out. Wasn't too bad, right?
Yeah, no, not bad at all.
Let me stop this right here. Yeah, I send this to my production group, and they kind